welcome to Dawn on Vos TV. On today's newspaper review, we'll be looking at top stories that made the headlines on our national dailies. I am Blessing Raji. With me in the studio to look at these top stories is Shuyi Ayo Daily of the Nigerian Tribune newspapers. Good morning.
Good morning, Blessing.
Good morning. Nice having you on set.
Same here.
You're looking good.
Looking good too, and thank you.
All right. And today we're looking at Tribune, Punch, and the Vanguard newspaper. But before we go to review our Tribune, Punch, and the Vanguard newspaper today, we're looking at another police station attack in Imo State, leaving 2 policemen badly injured and 1 missing. What do you have to say about this recurrent scene happening in Imo State?
Well, it's bad enough that today again we are talking about Imo State, because yesterday it was topical too. We talked about it, and I can recall here that one of the things I said yesterday was that we should begin to pay attention to Imo State. It's becoming worrisome. It's becoming a kind of a daily occurrence. Attack on police station, attack on correctional facilities, release of over almost 2,000 inmates. And then again this morning by 1 a.m., another attack on a police station at Imberi, with 2 policemen badly injured, like we rightly said, and 1 missing. So this is becoming alarming, and I think the government or the governor of that state needs to up his game. He needs to up the ante. He needs to do something decisive. For crying out loud, this thing has been happening consecutively for 5 days now. What about declaring the state of, declaring curfew there from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. so that at least you'll be able to restrict movement of people. You bring in more security personnel to police the state, and then we now begin to process and analyze the issues to get to the root of what is happening in Imo State. And beyond that, our security apparatus in the state. But now, this crisis cannot continue. Are we going to have another northeast or northwest in Imo State? Because this is how it started. This is how it started in Borno State. This is how it started in Zamfara. This is how it started in Kaduna. And today we have those problems in our hands. We can't afford to have Imo to join that. So I expect that by now the security agencies should have been able to sit down, to look at the situation, and have been able to say, okay, this is the root cause of this crisis in Imo State, and this is how we are going to go about it. But you cannot just sit down. Maybe as we are talking now, another police station or another facility is under attack. I mean, I'm beginning to, something big, something terrible is happening in Imo State, and I pray it doesn't spread to other neighboring states in that region, and by extension any other part of the country. But this is the time to act.
So with the rollout of the inmates and the prisoners being freed and all, what do you see Nigeria to be in future?
Well, it's the effect, we are already feeling it. It happened here in Edo State during the anti-SARS riot, when they attacked the Oko prison and Saple, the one we call White House on Saple Road, released prisoners and everything. I recall that the commissioner of police then mentioned the fact that one of the inmates went back to his village with the intention of killing the man who came to court to testify why his case was in court. So you have this sort of criminals, some under awaiting trial, some already been convicted, some convicted for capital offenses and the rest. And then all of a sudden, they have their freedom. Like in Owerri, the guys that stormed that correctional center said, Jesus has risen, so you have no business staying here. So everybody should go out and everything. So when you have felons like that on the loose, only God knows what will happen later. Because some of them believe that they were not justifiably imprisoned. Some of them are holding grudges. Some of them even, they attacked, in Edo State, they were attacking the police officers, those IPOs that were responsible for their prosecutions in court and the rest. And I see the same thing happening in Imo State and in any other place where you have a correctional center attacked and the inmates released. And this is one reason why I feel, and very strongly too, that the government of Imo State and the federal government, the new Inspector General of Police, the Director General of State Security Department, and the rest should come together and begin to look critically at the situation in Imo State. Something bigger is happening in Imo State. Something more than what you and I can see is happening in Imo State, and it deserves attention.
What do you think might be the root cause of this current happenings in Imo State, visiting just police stations?
I can't precisely say this is the root cause, because one, initially when it happened, especially the attack on the correctional center, the Inspector General of Police then Adamu said, oh, the independent peoples of Biafra, IPOB, did it, and IPOB issued a statement that they were not responsible. So, and that is exactly why I'm saying we should pay attention. We should get intelligence information. I mean, begin to process it. There must be something wrong. What are these people looking for? Why is it that these attacks are being on either police station or a correctional center? Is it another mode of NSAS or whatever? So there must be something. There must be. And then by now, when you get one or two other persons, one or two persons involved in this, they will be able to tell us. But I cannot just sit down in the studio here or in Benin here and begin to say, oh, this is what I think should be the root cause. I'm not even a security leader, so I will not be able to say that. But I know, I mean, I have the feeling that there must be something going on there that needs to be detected, to be looked into. Yeah.
Okay. Another trending story here is about the Edo Sports Festival, the ongoing Edo Sports
National Sports Festival.
The National Sports Festival.
Yeah.
That started a few days back. Of recent, it's been stated at 12 noon today that they are going to stop the festival. Now the ministry is saying that they can't just wake up one morning and say that they want to stop this.
But
what do you have to say about
the National Sports Festival, yeah, I heard about the news yesterday. We all heard about it when the local organizing committee came up with the idea that if by 12 noon today, being Thursday, April 8th, the federal government has not fulfilled the promise it made to Edo State government in terms of assistance in funding the festival. They will shut it down. It will be shut down by 12 noon today. Yeah, it's rather unfortunate that the state government will get to that level, because the idea was that before they took it upon themselves, Edo State took it upon itself to host this National Sports Festival. He must have put his house in order. You will have known the cost implication. But I guess that what happened was that because of the 2 or 3 times that the festival was postponed as a result of the outbreak of the coronavirus pandemic, they made appeal to federal government to say, fine, we've wasted resources and we keep on postponing this thing, we keep on shifting the dates and everything. It's telling on our fundings and the rest. It's natural that they should, okay, please, in a way, come and assist us. And the federal government accepted, because the statement issued by the Federal Ministry of Youth Sports Development this morning also affirmed that Edo State actually asked for funding and they accepted and is being processed. The question is this: at what time did the Edo State government ask for this money? 1 month ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago? Well, how long will it take you? Once you agreed, okay, you know that you postponed this thing 2 or 3 times. Now you know that postponing this festival will have a kind of a telling effect on the finances of the state that is hosting. We are hosting 36 states of the federation. I mean 35 states that are coming, including the Federal Capital Territory. It's no joke. So it involves spending huge sums of money. So at what point in time did the Edo State government make this request for funding? And then you accepted it. How long will it take you to process it? But that notwithstanding, I don't think it is proper at this stage. To just say we are going to shut it down and everything. I think the two parties should be able to sit down together to say, oh, please, this is where we are having problem, and let this money. And then those who are involved, those who are still doing the looking at the papers and everything, should be also they should quicken the process, and then let's get this thing. Because like the President Buhari said at the while declaring opening the festival on the 6th, he said sports is one of the unifying factors in the country, and you get it. If you get to the stadium now, you see people from Kano, Sokoto, everywhere, By that time, they are playing football, they are running and everything. Nobody knows any tribe. Yeah. So, and I think a serious government should know that this is not the kind of a thing you can put off suddenly. Yeah. So the two parties should be able to come together and arise. And in fairness, I sympathize with Edo State government. I've been to that stadium. I've looked at the facilities. I even did a report on the facility there. The state government must spend good money on that. I mean, if they are looking for assistance from the federal government, I don't think it is out of place.
What do you think might be the possible effects from all of this?
The possible effect is that if it is pulled off, it will have, because look, from this festival, there are international communities that are watching. There are athletes that will be on the field, on the tracks and everything, that their performances at this festival could launch them into something bigger in life. So if you pull it off, it's a disservice to those ones. They will not be able to actualize their dreams and everything. So there's no way you look at it. It's going to be it's going to have negative effects, not only on the state or the federal government, but the individual athletes that are participating in this festival. And for the sake of that, and for the sake of sanity, the two parties should be able to come together, reconcile their differences, and then let's have this wonderful festival.
Thank you for that. We're looking at the Punch newspaper this morning. On Punch newspaper headline, we have Afenifere Ohaneze tackle ACF forum, says attack on Northerners provocative. Seeing this is on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. We also have on page 9, politicians sponsoring crisis in Southeast. APC states Uzodinma alleges politicians sponsoring crisis in Southeast. That's on page 9 of the Punch newspaper. And on page 11 of the Punch newspaper, PDP tells APC to stop poaching our governors. That you get on page 11 of the Punch newspaper. You can get that online. You can get more stories of those headlines and grab a newspaper in your newspaper stand. Shui on Tribune.
Tribune, the lead story here is about 2023. Okay. North won't vote along ethno-religious line, says NEF, that's Northern Elders Forum. And Afenifere says it has not endorsed any presidential aspirants. Well, let's talk about this. Yeah. Is the North, for the first time, if you are taking Northern Elders Forum to be the body that speaks for the entire North, yes, they are saying we will not vote along ethno-religious line. Okay, fine. We will vote for a candidate without giving consideration to where he comes from or which religion he or she practices.
It's only based on tribalism.
Yeah, and this statement was accredited to Professor Anglo Abdullah, former Vice Chancellor of University of Maiduguri. But I've read his statement. He went ahead to say that whoever we are going to vote for as a candidate, we should be somebody who has plans for the North. Now, I can see the contradiction there. In one instance, you are saying we won't vote along ethno-religious line. But this time around, whoever you are going to vote for must have plan for the North. So, I don't have any problem with that. I don't have any problem with Professor Anglo Abdullah or the Northern Elders Forum or the Arewa Consultative Forum talking about the North. It's okay, fine. Somebody else should also be talking about the South. Somebody should be talking about the Southwest. Somebody should be talking about the Southeast. Somebody else should be talking for the South-South, the Middle Belt, and all other minority tribes. In all this, the only picture you can get is the idea that this country is purely not one. Because it would have been better if Professor Anglo Abdullah will have said, oh, we will vote for somebody who will have the interest of Nigeria. But he said, we are going to vote for somebody who has planned for the North. Okay, fine. If you are doing it and you say it's not going to be on ethno-religious line, good. So you can see that contradiction. So fine. What happens if the entire Yoruba race also come together to say we will vote for only somebody, only a person who will have the interest of the Yoruba heart, and then the South people, the Southeast people, they take that line. So, and Nigeria got our independence in 1960. We keep on saying this. the kind of government we practice, this pseudo-federalism that we practice, it's not working anywhere. The development that we witness in the southwest, in the north, in the southeast, even in the north, between 1960 and 1954 to 1960 or 63, is as a result of the fact that we were practicing regional government. Everything that happened in the southwest during the reign of Action Group led by the late Chief Obafemi Awolowo, the development and everything you could point out, is as a result of the fact that everything we got in the southwest was retained in the southwest. We made use of our resources, and what were the resources? Cocoa and the rest. We mentioned it about a week ago here. This the north, talking about their pyramid, granite pyramid and everything, and you can see, you cannot compare the development during that period, during that era, to what we have now. So, and everything we are still talking about, anytime you have a Afenifere, just, why do you even have a Afenifere? Why do you have Ohanaeze? Why do you have ACF? Why do you have Northern Elders Forum? These are tribal outfits, tribal groups that are protecting only the interests of that tribe. And that goes to show that there's something wrong with what we call the federation. So why don't we just sit down and agree? Instead of saying you are looking for somebody that will come, who have only the interest of the north, that is the person you want to vote for, or the Afenifere will say only the person that can develop the southwest for us, or the south people, the Niger Delta people will say, oh, anybody that will develop it. Why don't we just come together to a round table and agree on how we want to structure and run this country? What we need is a restructuring. The oil in the south, the Niger Delta people should be able to use their oil to their own, use it to their own advantage. Whatever they need to pay to the central post should be in terms of royalty or tax. In the southwest, we will reactivate our whatever we had before, the cocoa farms and everything, and then you will see development. You will even see healthy competition. This time around, we are not looking at somebody who will come and is having my interest. It's our own person. Whoever is going to govern us in the southwest is going to be from the southwest. Whoever is going to handle the northern region will be the northern region. So what we are saying in essence is that this is the time to restructure this country. This is the time for all of us to sit down and decide if we want to continue as a nation, as a federation, how do we go about it? So it's like husband and wife coming together, that this marriage, if it's not going to head for divorce, then let's sit down and agree on how we are going to run the home.
Okay, thank you for that. Still on Tribune, we have more stories. Osibajo to IGP ends culture of impunity. That's also an interesting story, as for a government retired police officer, Utomi, the Sikan president there, Adam sets agenda for him that he will patronize or prioritize community policy. That's on the page 2 of the Nigerian Tribune. Now, we also have stories, top stories, still on Punch here. We have, on page 7, we have Emefiele, Army Chief, face rep on Monday over arms fund. Then also, still on that page 7 of the Punch newspaper, we have petrol rights pricing, VAT hikes to increase government revenue. The petrol rights pricing, VAT hike to increase government revenue, says Dangote.
Okay, fine. On Vanguard here, we have one interesting story. It's on page 8, but it's promoted here on the front page. Insecurity. 80,000 Nigerians have died. 6 million illegal ammunition in circulation by Abdul Salam. That's the former head of state, General Abubakar Abdul Salam, saying that in Nigeria today, as we speak, 80,000 Nigerians have died as a result of insecurity. Died in the hands of kidnappers, in the hands of Boko Haram terrorists, in the hands of bandits. And that within the country, about 6 million illegal arms, ammunition are in circulation that nobody has control over. This is a very grave situation. Coming from a man of General Abdul Salam. He was once head of state, he was once chief of defense staff. Now, later Edo State is the one that handed over to this present civilian dispensation in 1999. So look at the situation. How was our population? And if it's saying it is not because everybody can tell, it's just a rough estimate. I want to believe that the figure is higher than what General Salam has just told us. And then look at the number of illegal arms and ammunition. And then how did they get into this country? And that is why this violence, we just talked about the Imo crisis now. If you look at every other newspaper, you will see government strike, that's in Tribune, government strike again on Ijebu Ode, Ibadan Road, abductory, queries, everywhere. You open every page of the Nigerian newspapers, you see one insecurity or the other. And this is where it's coming from. The number of illegal arms during political campaigns and the rest, the thugs and the rest that these politicians use for their election. You gave them arms and ammunition. How many of those things were you able to retrieve after the election? Then how are they even coming in? We have custom, we have security agencies. If you are traveling from here, from Lagos to Benin or from Benin to Lagos, you count nothing less than 20 roadblocks mounted by either custom or police or the Nigerian army. So where do we get? How did all these guns and the rest, how did they enter into this country?
That's a big question.
So if you have about 6 million of illegal arms, we are not talking about the ones that are licensed that individuals have rights to operate or to use. We are talking about the illegal ones. And if it's saying 6 million, I want to believe that 6 million is just the bottom figure. Yeah. You must have something higher than that. And so this is where the problem lies. And that is why killings, kidnapping, maiming, all sorts of violence is now becoming active. It's part and parcel of our lives. And this is a wake-up call to the security agencies that there is a bigger problem. We cannot continue to die like life doesn't matter again. 80,000 people, how? So and as we speak, they are shooting somewhere. They are kidnapping somewhere. I read one terrible story about a guy that spent about 18 hours with kidnappers on this Benin bypass and everything. Very terrible report. It's only God that saved him. And that's to travel, you are afraid. Even when you are seated in your home, you are afraid. To be on the road on the time, you are afraid. But just check it, Benin City. Anything by 6 p.m., you see all shops closing up. Okay. Because nobody feels safe again.
So how do you think they can curb all of this?
Yeah, that's what we are talking about. One, in the first instance, if we have enough job opportunities for people. For instance, it is very difficult for anybody to walk up to this. So we're about 3 or 4 here, including the cameraman, to say, okay, show your guy, take a gun. To go and do what? When these guys are not employed, what do you think they will do? That's number one. The level of poverty in the country. A university graduate that has been at home for the past 5 years, and somebody will just come and say, okay, fine, I can pay you 200,000 naira, just go and help me do this dirty job. What do you think he will do? That's that. Then, but most importantly, is we need to focus on our borders. Because we don't manufacture all these things here. AK-47 and all those ones are not manufactured in Nigeria. So they are imported. Somebody brings them in. So what are they doing at the border level from the seaport, airport, and the land borders? We need to pay attention to it and everything. Our security agencies in those areas need to be allowed. Except these people don't love this country. Because the way it is going, it will get to a point that every household will have one illegal gun or the other. And then what do you have? A state of anarchy. Lawlessness.
Can I say authoritatively that because there's no job?
No. I'm telling you, no. Joblessness, unemployment is part of the thing that can trigger this kind of a thing. Yeah, it's increasing now. When you don't have a job, you don't have anything doing. How much will you offer a jobless man before you will take up any dirty job? If somebody is gainfully employed, his any salary is living at least an appreciable normal life. Nobody wants to be involved in it. Who wants to go to jail? Who wants to die? But when somebody is in a state of hopelessness, then anything can happen. You just little thing that you give to that person, they will go ahead and do the unthinkable. So I'm not saying unemployment is the main, is the only cause, but it's one of the major factors we need to look into.
Okay, what's now the way forward?
The way forward is that make Nigeria an environment where people can live. For instance, not everybody will get the white-collar job. Not everybody will be employed in the civil service. We have graduates that have learned one trade or the other. The first thing you even need to fix is the power issue. Once you fix the power issue, that the man who learned baby can open a shop, and he doesn't have to go and buy fuel. He doesn't have to go and buy generator. He just plugged in his clipper, and he begins to work. And at the end of the day, he will close. At least if it is 1,000 naira or 1,005, he makes in a day. He will be okay. The weather man, the weather that wants to work, let him have access to electricity. Fix all those infrastructure, and then you discover that the economy will open up. It's not government. Government alone can run the economy. Any economy that wants to develop, any economy that wants to thrive, can't be in the hands of government. You need to empower the people. It's private. It should be privately run. And when you give one of the things that can empower the people is first fix power issue. Once you fix that one, I'm telling you, so many other things will fall in. Because here, you buy fuel to power your generator. You gather together as a community to fix your road. There's no water, you will sink borehole and the rest. Also, the government is as if it doesn't even exist. The only government exists only when they want to collect taxes from people. And once they take the taxes, nobody cares about it. I'm not talking about state. I'm not everywhere, state, federal, local government. So we can't even feel their presence and everything. So you have how many graduates are roaming the streets looking for what to do?
Thank you for that. One interesting story here on page 9 of the Punch newspaper is Ngige tackles resident doctor as NAD says strike continues. Now, this is a sensitive sector in our country. The doctors are going on strike, and the NAD says the strike should continue as the Ngige tackled resident doctors, because yesterday it was told that they are to pay them
Wednesday.
Yes, yesterday being Wednesday, that they will pay them their money, that they should resume their
we talked about this this strike
so,
the other time.
Yeah, so this strike lingering on being this thing now.
What you need to do is it's a very simple thing. You know the reasons why these guys are on strike. They are on strike because there were agreements that the federal government observed in breach. Go back to those agreements. What you sat down with these people that you agreed on and implement them, and you see that these guys will be back to work. We said it the other time now. When you are calling them, oh, yeah, they're on strike because they're supposed to save life and everything. We said it. How can they save life when their own lives is not saved? When somebody that is hungry. So go up. It's a very simple thing. We don't need to debate this issue again. The federal government, these guys have made their demands. We have the agreement with you running to how many times? Go ahead and implement those agreements. You signed it. You put pen to paper to say, I agree that this is what we will do. It's not the first time they will go on strike. They went on strike before. They called up the strike because they reached an agreement. And because that agreement is not implemented, they are back on strike again.
I've seen doctors swore to an oath of allegiance.
Forget about that oath, blessing. It won't work. I'm telling you, the oath doesn't take care of the hunger there. We said it here. These doctors we are talking about, don't they have bills to pay? They have children in schools now. Is it the oath that will pay their children's school fees? Is it the oath that will pay their house rent? What about outside? Are you aware that? Yeah, I spoke to a senior in secondary school during the NSAS, during this COVID-19 and everything. And he said that I think there's an allowance they pay doctors and nurses or those in health sector. They call it hazard allowance. A nurse, 5,000 naira in a month. The same nurse that she's working in the accident and emergency section, and you are bringing in an accident victim who could have been an HIV positive person, and nobody has tested him or her, but somebody must attend to him or her. And then at the end of the day, you said, for exposing yourself to this kind of hazard, this is 5,000 naira for you. Meanwhile, somebody is sitting down in Abuja calling himself a senator. He's going home with about 78 million naira in a month. That is where the problem lies. You have agreement with this guy. Go ahead and implement the agreement, and then that will be the end of the story. These guys will be back in their, they will put on their stethoscope, their lab coat, and then they will be attending to patients. Fine. I'm not saying the strike should continue indefinitely, but hey, you need to at least get to a level that they will be satisfied, that they will have that confidence that government is serious, government is ready to do something.
Okay, thank you for that. And nice having you on set today. You've really talked about some of these stories that made the headlines on our national dailies today. Thanks for coming.
Thank you very much for having me.
And we hope to see you next time.
God willing.
That's it on Newspaper Review today on On Vos TV. Thanks for watching. Do stay safe. I remain Blessing Raji.